Here's my review of My Dead Friend Zoe. I thought that this movie was a beautiful movie. I thought that this movie was great. And yeah. So, My Friend Zoe, My Dead Friend Zoe is about a woman named Marit who keeps seeing visions of her dead friend Zoe after she was killed while they were in the army. And I thought that this movie was beautiful. Over the course of this movie, one thing I think this movie does very good is I think it handles quite a bit different. Can't even speak today. Quite a bit of different genres mixing well together. For example, there are many times where it feels almost eerie, where there's time when Marit is who she is required to go to these therapy sessions, and she just keeps talking to her dead friend, and then she's just when the counselor chimes in and says, "Is everything okay, Marie?" and she's just not there. It just gives this sense of almost uneasiness, but also like sadness because you're seeing this woman suffering from PTSD. It's just awful. There are many times in this movie that where the humor actually comes in is from Zoe. It has this almost sense of dark humor where Zoe is almost very sarcastic and jokey, which I mean is just it kind of almost adds that uncomfortability because she's just a hallucination from Marit. And it just like I said, I just thought this movie was beautiful. There are also so many there's quite a bit of there's about two plots here actually because there's also the other main plot of this movie where this basically is the main plot and then the hallucinations is more of like the twist where Marie is with her grandfather. She's been staying with him because he has been suffering from Alzheimer's. And there's so many times in this movie where where he talks about, or he was in, I believe he mentioned how he was in Vietnam. And he almost felt like Marie is kind of overreacting because he said how when she got back, she got met with praise, but when he got back from Vietnam, he was just met with this disrespect. And it's just so many fascinating perspectives on it that I just thought was just beautiful. And there are many points in this movie where, like, you could tell Marie is struggling so much, where she's trying to almost re-put herself back into society, whether it's like going on a date and how she's with this guy who actually works at the care home that she's trying to get her grandfather into. And there's also just this like sadness of the stubbornness of Dale there. He's like, no, I'm not going home. And it's just, like, there's so many just things like that that are just beautiful in this movie. Also, just Morgan Freeman, I mean, he's great in anything he is. Anything he's in, he's great in. In here, he plays the guidance counselor, helping all of these veterans in this group therapy session. I mean, who doesn't like Morgan Freeman? He's fantastic here as well. And when we see these flashbacks of when Marie and Zoe were in the army, you could tell that Zoe has so many troubles where she feels so lost. And I feel like in many ways, this could connect to people like even if you're not like in the military or anything, of maybe just kind of not really knowing what to do. And like I said, there are just a lot of things that personally I just found to be beautiful and relatable in here personally. But yeah. And there's this overwhelming sense of guilt in this movie from Marie. And that's where I'm going to get into the main spoilers. So just so you know, be warned. So we actually find out later in the movie that Marie actually took her own life. So she did not die being like in a war, but rather by her own hand. And why Marie just feels this sense of guilt is Zoe tried to call her and she just didn't answer. So she feels almost responsible for it. And that's why this movie is filled with these themes of forgiveness, I think, that I found to be beautiful. And yeah, like what I love so much about this movie is just how small and personal it feels because there are also just moments where Marie is just trying to spend time with her grandfather where they're on the boat. And you could tell also how, because he is just so stubborn, and sometimes, and how he talks about, like I said, he talks about how he wasn't maybe respected when he fought, and the loss of his wife. And there are just so many just sad, like this movie is a very sad movie, but what makes it actually so good is it's actually just so funny, but it's able to have these small stakes. Like it is not a comedy at all, but and I want to say it's really funny at all, but I just said it was. There are funny moments to it, is what I should say. I just really just thought also, just another thing, I love the way this movie looks. Like I don't know what it was about it, but I really enjoyed the lighting here. That's just a small thing to just say, but visually I really enjoyed it. And it's also, like I said, it's just the small and personal stakes that I loved so much. It's not really, I say stakes, but like it's just such a personal and small story of Marie really trying to reconnect with so many people, because you could see how she just feels so lost and almost sheltered because of what happened, and because she believes it's her fault. And there are just so many themes here, like forgiveness, guilt, self-love, self-hate, like depression. And I thought it was just all tackled so well. And I think really the sub, not like one of the many subplots of Marie trying to like go on dates, I think, like with this guy who works for the retirement home, really encapsulates this movie a lot too, because you could see that part of her does want to try to move on, but how a second part of her just doesn't want to be in any relationship at all and just wants to be like sheltered, which just adds to just this sadness. And that's what I loved about it so much. It just felt like these characters all just felt so real. So yeah, before I just get way too repetitive, I already feel like I already am. I just love this movie. I thought that it was great. I definitely think you should see it. And yeah, it is a beautiful film, I think, about forgiveness, being there for somebody. Also, like, almost this sense of also how you're not alone. Yeah, I'm rambling, but yeah, this movie is great in my opinion. I loved it.